So when I found an order and it was getting brought to me in a bag, they put out the handle with 2 hands, punched through it instead of grabbing the handle. And so it kind of felt like I was putting on a sleeve. I come to think that, like, what if it was a sleeve and the person who brought it out was like this Chinese restaurant person, and I felt like they brought out like a sleeve and I put my arm through it and I was waiting for it to like turn into like an entire like cape or something. A cape or a giant like cloth that would be equal to a Power Rangers spandex suit, and this Power Rangers spandex suit, if it was a powerful bracelet, would be equal to an Iron Man suit if the fabric was equal to plasma, how strong plasma is if it was cooled down to the same temperature of spandex cloth.
Something different, on the other hand, if a netting was a polygon that equaled E8 in one rotation of the unit circle, you could define infinite amount of times that the corners of a square rotate within the cosine and sine on a unit circle. And if you can quantize an E8 inside a polygon net, you could basically diffract light at its smallest scale. And if you could size something at any scale, you could be able to sell it. And so what that means is the Silicon Valley could sell everything that you've ever taken a picture of and then charge you for it later.
If it's a living thing, you'd say it's genetics. But if it's an inanimate object, you say it's makeup. The thing that constitutes it is just made up stuff. Difficult to see light scatter when things have it scattering everywhere. Take this leather blackboard, so it's not leather.
Not everything has shadows. Actually, they do if you're looking close enough at the light, because its opposite end is an equation almost as a mirror projection has a definite mirror refraction of 90-degree angle. So electrons would be something that carries electricity, right? And electricity is defined as electromagnetic spectrum. It's got magnets everywhere. Maybe understanding magnets better would be able to portray a fluid dynamic. One of the best fluid dynamics is plasma, because it governs all 3 states, because all 3 states are subjected to melt inside of it or get excited and fall apart inside of it, almost like spaghettification in a black hole.
That's how infinities are literally able to be anywhere. Things are so small that they're undetectable. That's the same way that the agents in the Matrix were able to just pop up on any location by becoming someone in that location. An infinity so small as a point particle. The most famous one is the electron. The only way that you know electron is a thing because of the field has a certain mass that only electron could be able to be at, because it's that small there in the field. But if you take away the field, which is the infinity, then the electron disappears because it's that small. The immortalities, so things that are too small to calculate and they seem like they're infinitely small, would be equivalent to an agent in the Matrix, because no one knows how to handle them. Similarly, in the book The Quantum Labyrinth, it's called The Quantum. So The Matrix had a chance to be one of the best scary movies, but it ended up just going more in the action route. But ostensibly the whole entire...
Talk about rabbits not having all their carrots in one bushel. At least these ducks are aligned. Photopia. This is a C because it's close to the water, so it must be catching the breeze like a seagull. So the biggest thing in plant material would have been a giant thing that kept germinating. A giant thing that kept germinating would be most preferable if it were a beanstalk, because the shape of a bean is two parabolas connected by two straights. That would be a capacitance plates on either end, and then just the two parabolas on the other ends of the two capacitance plates is the shape of a bean. Some would say time heals all wounds. Others have fallen short in understanding what a locked door would mean if you're trying to make the correlation between the two. This is ironically 1 pixel, and it is nothing different than something as such. But if you're trying to relate that to this at 90 degrees, so you can't constitute being alive because no one knows how consciousness could be measured, other than like a heart rate where when the line goes flat, you're SOL. But all serious aside, I mean, in realistic standpoint, the likelihood that you're gonna be correct while you're living is as goes the following. If you do a tip ahead of time, and then it turns out the thing that you were tipping for, they break it before it even gets to you, wouldn't you feel stupid for tipping for something that was broken because they tipped it and it broke and got your tip for something you thought wouldn't be? This is a perfect representation of porcelain, and it is only good because the inside is hollow, and that's what allows it to solidify better, and the more it solidifies, the more that it looks realistic from a distance. So if mathematics is the operator and we want to get jacked in, how Neo got jacked in was through a mirror and it went through him. That's super sci-fi. But something more realistic is the spurs on a cowboy's heel. It has spurs. This looks kind of like a spur. It's a miniature dandelion. And what makes up a dandelion is that it's in half, where if these white things were all around it, like a underwater mine bomb, or a dandelion that is fuzzy all around when it's fuzzy and ready to spread its seeds, that's in mathematics called the hairball. And hairballs have infinities. One hair on them is able to go straight if they're all combed over. And so in a Klein bottle, you have one opportunity to go through the bottle and going outside the bottle by looping in. And so if the one hair on the hairball was a Klein bottle looping, then it would be almost as if you were getting engulfed by a mirror like Neo did, and ending up on the other end, or understanding what the simulation was on the outside. The best conception isn't The Conjuring. So when I found an order and it was getting brought to me in a bag, they put out the handle with 2 hands, and then I punched through it instead of grabbing the handle. And so after my arm was through it, I don't know, I just kind of left because I wasn't going to grab it like this. And so it kind of felt like I was putting on a sleeve after like 3 seconds of like, what did I just do? And so then I come to think that like, what if it was a sleeve? And the person who brought it out was like this Chinese restaurant person.
and I felt like they brought out like a sleeve, and I put my arm through it, and I was waiting for it to like turn into